All right, so welcome back into the Metaverse today. We're going to dive into Metaverse mega moves, and there's a ton of news out with some of the bigger players in the industry, and then also some that are under the radar and they should be on the lookout for. So we're going to dive in deep. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to Metaverse Insider. Joining me, of course, is my co-pilot, Mr. Mirko. How you doing, man?
Always good when I meet you, Paul.
It's gonna be a fun time one day when we actually get together and I can chase you down from all of the traveling that you're doing. When you travel so much, I'm just kind of curious, do you have to have, how do you deal with that? Because I mean, is your house, do you ever keep the electricity on there at your home?
Yeah, because actually I sleep in the office, and the whole
Oh,
team
that's
is in the
right.
office, so they
I
can
like
care.
it.
Yes,
So they
it's
got to
like
keep the electricity on. That's right. I forgot. Which is definitely the crypto way for sure. Hey, let's jump into a couple of news items today. Of course, one of the big ones is Horizon Worlds creators to earn money. This is talking about Horizon Worlds now available to people 18 plus in the US, Canada, where Horizon Worlds is currently available. $10 million creators fund on this, so kind of interesting. So they are building now a system to really go out and try to get people to start creating within Horizon Worlds itself. When you look at that kind of fund, do you think this is, I mean, to me, this kind of seemed a little pittance of a fund, not that much. Do you feel like Facebook or Meta is just in a position right now where people are just going to come to them for try to create content for this project?
I mean, Horizon Creator Fund is definitely just a very small fund when we talk
Yeah.
about metaverses and how much money is there actually moving in from large companies, big players, and so on. So yeah, we will see definitely more from Horizon World, and I think this is maybe just the start, of the fundraising. Maybe there's just the metaverse or their virtual reality need to develop, and I think that you will see more upcoming.
Yeah, at least the one thing though, for sure, is they've done a lot of work here in terms of how their overall concept works, and I think that's one of the things that at least I would, kind of give them credit for is that they've really kind of put a little bit behind this. The question I think is going to be whether or not they can draw in the really creative talents for building different applications, dApps, etc., on the platform. But when you think about that, now the whole component is getting into this whole topic around selling items inside of their metaverse. And one thing they're talking about is keeping on the MetaQuest store. This is talking about a 30% transaction fee. And then inside Horizon Worlds, they're going to keep an additional 25% as well. So that's going to boil down to like a 47% overall take. To me, that just seems like a lot. Now, we were talking a little bit before the show. What are your thoughts about this? Is it sustainable, or do you think this is, hey, let's just throw out the biggest price we can right now and work our way down?
I feel that this Mr. Monopoly is doing his work,
Yeah.
and it's like really like maybe start high and then see how it goes, and it's easier to lower than to increase, right? So maybe that's the approach, because maybe they're uncertain about how the run on their metaverse will be, and maybe they have high beliefs that the users don't care because they deliver so much value that people are happy to pay these transaction fees. But I think
Yeah.
it's still way too high. We're moaning about, let's say, OpenSea with 20%, and other projects, so we should, I mean, it should be user friendly, right? So
Yeah. Well, I think their angle, one that Zuckerberg has talked about many times, is the comparison to Apple's ecosystem and their 30% take. But still, I mean, Vivek Sharma, who is their vice president, he talked about this being market price, which I thought, what market are they looking at? Because I know of no markets that are at that level right now. Apple, sure, but we've already started to see pushback from the gaming sectors with Apple's ecosystem. And I guess my question is whether or not we will see a full-on push on this, because remember, when you saw the development of Apple's ecosystem and you saw the development of Facebook in the early days, remember, there weren't many players around. It's different in Web3 because there's dozens, if not tens of hundreds of new companies being developed right now, especially in the metaverse side, as well as crypto gaming, the aspect of use case scenarios. All of this is much different landscape than it was in 2007 when Apple and Facebook really got their teeth into the market. So with that being the case, do you think we're going to see two different kinds of markets start to rise up out of the metaverse? One that's the closed ecosystem and one that is the open metaverse. Thoughts on that?
For me, I think Meta definitely or the biggest issue what I personally would have is if they build a closed metaverse, or it is only for Facebook, Instagram, and so on, and and not really want actually to be open and decentralized. And I think they used to have control, and why to give control away. And and maybe what they said about the market, which market price. I mean, this is something what when you're not if your community or your users are not yet in crypto or Web 3.0, so maybe you just give yourself a price tag, but it can be horribly wrong, because you have really maybe not the practice experience really to be in that space. So I think they should take the steps a little bit slower, maybe, on announcing things overpriced, because at the end it's the user, right? I mean, they are the one who will populate the metaverse.
Yeah, I think the question will be, does this start to flow over into other metaverse projects where we start to see a new threshold of entry? And that, I guess that concerns me, because I look at it from, I'm more of the free and open internet era, before we started to see the closed gardens and the walled gardens really being developed, much like what we're seeing right now in crypto gaming and in the open metaverse per se, is that there's a lot of opportunity here. And again, maybe it unfortunately could be an early cash grab for a lot of companies, including Meta and what Horizon Worlds is doing. And they could be laying the track work for this to seep over into other aspects of metaverse. So that I'm a little concerned about, but at the end of the day, the market will set the price and we'll find out what happens, because it's going to see some pretty big moves. Let's talk about Sony investing $1 billion into Epic Games, $2 billion into their metaverse development. I'm kind of curious, when you look at $2 billion investment, now we're talking about a massive move here. And to me, this kind of sets the tone. All right, Sony's thrown down the gauntlet. They're coming in big time. What do you think this means to the overall metaverse market and crypto gaming?
I mean, this is I think one of the largest transactions we have seen so far. I mean, we saw Microsoft acquire a Blizzard for $6 billion. That was a large number. And Epic Games, Sony moving in, because they are not really as a game developer, right? So they're Sony is for tech. So, but I think, to basically invest in Epic Games, and this is the best way to do, because Epic Games is one of the largest, and I think very, very focused on the blockchain. So, but these numbers, I cannot imagine what kind of metaverse is coming from 1 or 2 billion. I mean, this is just
how would you spend
over my horizon, really.
Yeah, how would you spend that? Developer-wise, I just can't even put a market budget together to get to that. I guess, when you look at deployment, the marketing aspect, which I think is going to be the bigger thing, and of course, Sony being, I think, the juggernaut of the gaming industry and also just in general technology, they've done a great job in marketing. And that's kind of interesting too, Mirko. When we look at the markets really kind of developing around metaverse right now, one of the things that is intriguing to me is how these companies are going to go to market to get mass adoption, because we're still looking at a very, very small sliver of society that's even understanding what metaverse is and or are even participating in it. So I think maybe a lot of these big budgets are really going to be about awareness, getting people out there educated for sure. Games, well, actually, I want to jump into the next topic, which is Bob Iger's Genies raising $1 billion to a unicorn status. So this one, of course, was an early investment. He raised $150 million at the valuation, above $1 billion now. The LA-based Genies is now making what they do is an avatar-based approach here, which is kind of unique. Tell me what you think about this project and how this might go forward, especially around the avatar development side.
I mean, avatars is the future, I mean, it's been for gamers itself, it's so normal, to basically create your own avatar, give him a different outfits, cosmetics, skin color, races, whatever. And, if you see about especially gamer in the young generation who collecting also clothes, sneaker and so on, and then it's so natural actually that you have basically in a digital identity, what been before now, I would say, let's say a Bored Apes or PFP, like just a profile picture basically, but it's not, it's 2D, or it's a pixel animated and so on. And I think Genie with the 3D animation and with the detailed characters, so basically you can be very, very precise with your avatar creation, and that is also then NFT based. So I think, and with the partnerships they have on board, is definitely it's a huge play, and that this company is already valuated on 1 billion. This is amazing. What you see in the space, how fast companies growing with the right funding, with how much demand is there, how many people actually building on in these spaces, is like really showcasing how incredible actually this space is and how much innovation and people are interested and building on it.
Yeah, investors in this one: Dapper Labs, Coinbase Ventures, Silver Lake Bond Capital, Tamarack, Polychain. I mean, this is it's kind of a line list, and then they have celebrities like Bieber, Cardi B, Shawn Mendes. So I mean, they've got a real interesting potential here to kind of break free, get to that what I call breakaway velocity for certain projects. Obviously, with Iger at the helm, this could be a big one to watch for sure. Do you think personalities and celebrities are necessary for whether it's metaverse or gaming projects? Because we see this a lot with different projects like Sandbox, even Gala, to a certain extent. They really involve themselves a lot with the celebs and the entertainers side of things. Do you think that's a necessity to really help these markets kind of expose and start to grow?
I mean, celebrities or anybody who's a public figure is actually in the same time also an influencer, right? So, and everything what they do, the fans they want to have as well, so yeah. It's basically a very, very normal, I would say, marketing to get these people on board, especially for something like kind of a, let's see in a fashion brand, like if, let's say Kylie Jenner wearing Gucci, then people want Gucci, and this is the same. Oh, now this is this NFT, and people want to have this NFT. It's the same, like to break it down very simple. What's happening? Why celebrities or why people they signing up are important for the for the success of the project, and that also the 1 billion is let's say good invested. So I mean, this is like definitely the way forward.
Yeah, I think the strategies are going to be very interesting in the coming months and years to build these for sure. Let's get into a couple of the undervalued meta moves that we're watching. One, of course, is Anacube and Animoca Brands. They're building a music metaverse. So this is interesting to me because one of the things they're doing is around the whole aspect of metaverse. Obviously, music, we've seen this more and more. They're going the route of developing a wallet, or excuse me, an NFT drop. So this is coming through their launch of their NFT, which is actually open now. April 5th was when they opened it, but it goes through the 15th. And then it's going to be all registered drops happening like on the 18th. So Animoca now jumping into this space. especially in the Asian markets, we see more and more of the K-pop aspect of this. This could be a massive move. Obviously, we've already seen Gala Music in this space really kind of going into it. What are your thoughts around where Animoca is going with Anacube?
I mean, first of all, we need to differentiate an Asian market and maybe Western market. Yeah.
Yep.
So especially all these anime and K-pop, this is like really heavy part of the culture, you know. So it's like, and think to bridge that with an NFT now, is it music NFTs or colored NFTs? It's perfect actually for this region, because gaming on digitalization about certain things is so normal already in life integrated, you know, going in a supermarket or wherever, there is already so much technology involved. So and having Animoca brand basically supporting that is definitely an awesome move, and think this company Anacube, they will do very well, and especially when they have, you know, these the K-pop stars in that area signed up, what we talked before, the influencers, you know. It's definitely you own now as a fan a piece of their music, you know. It's insane. I would love to do that, you know.
And I think that's going to be a very interesting thing as we see more and more in the music side of things really start to develop around the entertainers. It's a big part of it. I think it's going to be one of the biggest sectors in Metaverse and NFTs in the coming years, just because of the creativity that is really built around music and entertainment overall. So definitely a good move on Animoca's part. Of course, with Anacube, I love. Let's get into a couple of these others that are happening soon. One is the Breeder DAO. This is one that you brought to the show today. I want to talk a little bit about this one because they've got A16Z in this, Delphi Digital, and they've got their IDO the 26th of April coming up as well, because this is another one to watch here. Tell me about this one, Mirko.
I mean, there's so many, we always talk about GameFi project games, and what there's so many protocols and also projects basically supporting this space, and Breeder DAO is actually one of my. I love the team. We have very good conversations, you know, about how the space is evolving, and you know how we can support each other and so on. And what they basically doing, they optimizing NFT or asset management. You know, for example, if it's an NFT, how to give the best, let's say, what is the best money for your NFTs, you know. So, and this is something that I really like, because, you know, they're focusing on the whole NFT. And is it a land? Is it let's say axes? And of course they're just launching, but they're looking at the whole range of NFTs, and basically to optimize based on data the efficiency on a financial return. And this is pretty awesome. And they have an awesome backing, and I believe that they're doing pretty well. So it's definitely a project to look at. And yeah,
well, I was impressed just on what we showed on the screen there. I mean, you got Do Kwon as an advisor, Ryan Watt from Polygon. I mean, these are rock stars. So when you look at kind of the whole aspect of many of these kinds of projects, like what Breeder is doing, Breeder DAO, I guess that is my other question, because we're seeing so much more movement in the DAO space. When we looked at decentralized autonomous organizations in the past, you know, 6 months ago, we started to see kind of the breakout. Now we're starting to see the fruit of a lot of people's work over this period of time, and it's really starting to showcase some very interesting aspects. So I would agree with you. Let's go over to Ardenar.xyz. This is a company, and they're in funding round. Spartan so far is in tier 1 conversation. So talk to me about this one. This is a little bit kind of like what we saw with other avatar creators. What do you like about this one?
I mean, I would say it's a little brother of Genie. Yeah, so basically they're doing, you know, NFTs, 3D NFTs, highly animated, high quality. And basically with them, you can have millions of variations on your NFT collection. And the best part is, you know, that they're just not creating NFTs. It's either 2D or 3D, but also you can create them basically yourself in a in an NFT creator, and it's really depends on. I think that, and when I talk to them, when I'm asked anything, what I'm asking is like, they said no limit, we can do it. It's really like. You can at any at as more detailed you want to be in an NFT, they can do it, and this is really, really impressive what they built there. And I think especially these NFT creators, as we already saw what with Genie happened, they already valued on 1 billion. I think companies like AR, especially AR, is also a field what we are very early in, and this is also something they're focusing on it, so it's something they're moving forward with AR. This is something now, NFTs and AR again, to build a more solid foundation later on, building for the future when AR will be maybe really, really take more into our day-to-day operation or life, so I think this is very interesting what they're doing. And it's so simple actually to create your own NFTs here, with them. And it's really, I wish them good luck on the future, and I hope they have a similar success as Genie. We would love to see more projects like them. So this is definitely something to look at.
To watch. Last up is Sheba, the Metaverse. This is something that we're starting to see now. Land sale process starts. First early access bid event is now live on Sheba. And of course, Sheba we saw kind of move a little bit with the Robinhood listing this week. But now I think a lot of people are looking at them and saying, wait a minute, there might be something here, especially as they start to develop in this direction. When you look at Sheba and kind of what they're trying to do for their, what they call their future expansion of all the Shiba Inu team's current projects, the big key here is obviously going into the land side of it. What are your thoughts of how projects are moving into Metaverse, mostly with land as the lead? I mean, we've seen this with others. Big Time has kind of gone this direction with kind of their, we'll call it land, it's space, NFTs, and they've been fairly successful. What are your thoughts on something like with what Sheba is trying to do here?
I mean, Sheba is it's a large project, right? So that's why the land sale is definitely have a lot of value behind that. What you see, from a lot of other projects, let's say smaller ones, that they use land as maybe a cash grab, but of course not in the case of Shiba Inu. And I think it's also the audience Shiba have, because if you think also the popularity of Shiba came, of course, because of the token, but also because of the audience that have in this, like TikTok audience, who really like, it's a totally new breed, I would say, about investor, really they're not coming in because from a financial point, maybe because they like Shiba and they like the metaverse of Shiba, and this is something they can TikTok about it. I don't know, this is not saying that this is the only reason why Shiba is successful, but Shiba is in the top 50 because they're doing something right. And I think if they drop a land, then it's something they have well thought through the whole process. And so I think it's super exciting what they will build at the end. What's the final product.
I'm always impressed with the aspect of how culture picks up on some of these memes, which then become something greater. And we've seen this in other aspects of culture out there, everything from fashion, design, movies, art, entertainment. Now I feel like we're starting to see this in the metaverse. A certain handful of brands may start to set themselves apart. If you think about it, Sandbox has done an absolute fantastic job with really making it a somewhat addictive approach. And I wonder if Sheba and or some other projects like this could be going into this direction as well, just in terms of their awareness, the brand affinity, like you kind of mentioned there, and because that obviously moves tokens, but it also moves mountains when it comes to their development and creating new aspects of how they're rolling out the programs within the Metaverse, which is what they've done here with their Stage 1 bid event, which I thought was kind of an intriguing way to go about it. So they've got their Stage 2, the holder event that's going to happen. This is going to where they're going to have NFTs to lock in the purchase of land, but at the same time, without a bidding mechanism. This was kind of interesting. And then Stage 3 was their public sale, which will last for 10 days, which is where everyone will be able to purchase the remaining available lands on the map at a fixed price and without needing to lock any of their ecosystem assets up. So I think the strategy, if anything, they're going about it in a fairly decent strategy. I think these are some of the things that some of the other projects that you and I have even talked about. Sometimes some of these projects make missteps in some of their land rollouts, and it seems like they actually really thought this one through. So kudos to them for sure. Any final thoughts there, Mirko, on the market right now in terms of Metaverse? I know you're there at the NFT event. You're killing it. Is there anything you're watching for, or you're saying, hey, man, I came to this event to kind of look for this?
No, I approach these events usually like who you meet, because this is not really specific something I'm going there. It's really like very interesting to meet people in person and, how a business, or let's say a Telegram group where you've been just participating with, now really you have a person with, and you have actually a sympathy. And then, the partnership is much stronger after that, or many, many new partnerships are building on these events. So it's definitely the right place to network and to expand your, your community, your network. And this is, and then it's also cool because like everybody's in the Metaverse and everybody's talking about nothing else. So it's something you can spend hours out there. So yeah. That's pretty interesting.
Everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid in those conferences, which is a lot easier. It's like any conference when you get into those zones. Most of the people kind of understand what you're talking about, as opposed to going into some categories where you're trying to bring them across into the promised land, and it takes a little bit more. So I understand what you mean. Hey, listen, it's great having you on the show again today. We appreciate it. Can't wait to see you guys next week. We're going to have a big wrap up on both Metaverse and gaming next week with Mirko. I have a lot in store for that, so make sure and stay tuned. But thanks again for stopping in.
It was a pleasure, Paul. And next time, maybe from Miami. Yeah, let's see.
I hope.
If I'm already there.
Here we come, Miami. All right, we'll see you later, Mirko. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, you guys are tuned in over on the podcast right now. The best thing to do is jump over here to the YouTube channel. This is where you're going to get all the alpha on a lot of these projects that we drop into here on this show, where Mirko and I break down a lot of the news in the Metaverse, but also some of the early project identifiers. And then in addition to that, really understanding kind of where the next steps are going, because that's one of the things we're really close on around tracking crypto gaming and Metaverse projects as a whole here on Metaverse Insider, of course. But you got to catch all that over here on YouTube. If, of course, you want to reach out to me, it's out on Twitter at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on Metaverse Insider.